Hello, I'm going to talk to you right now about cravings, in specific sugar cravings, as I sit here with this chocolate bar on my running shirt. That is pretty ironic. It was a chocolate race. It's pretty funny. Anyway, sugar cravings. Okay, so how many of you experience sugar cravings on a regular basis, or what you would perceive to be sugar cravings, where you find yourself reaching for a cookie, a candy bar, a little piece of this, a little piece of that that has the refined sugar? Um, it's not that you don't have willpower. It's not that you're weak. It's that your body is saying, I need energy. When we have cravings, they are for very specific reasons. And the more we can pay attention to our cravings and try to deconstruct or figure out what's causing them, the faster you're going to figure out how to overcome them. You can't ignore cravings. Cravings are something like innate, like our body is missing something. If we're having a salt craving, it is because we are lacking sodium in our system or other vital minerals. If we're having a sugar craving, like I said, it's because your body needs energy. So how do you fix that without going for a cookie or going for cake or going for a candy bar? Well, I'm going to explain a little bit of the science behind it, because I think it's important to understand some very basics about sugar and how it affects the bodies. Our body. So you've heard of simple sugars and complex sugars, right? And glucose and all of this. But what does all of that mean? Simple sugars come typically from processed refined sugar. So things you find in cookies and candy and breads and lots of things that are on the shelf at the grocery store that have white refined processed sugar. Those are simple sugars. Fruit also has a simple sugar in it, but that is the good kind, and I'll tell you why in a second. So what happens when simple sugar enters our body? It is ingested into the bloodstream almost instantly. So that's why you get that sugar high and you're like, okay, I got lots of energy. And I'm not talking about energy from caffeine from coffee, but energy from the sugar, which is what your body was looking for anyway. But guess what? Those simple sugars enter so quickly that the cells go into this emergency state, and they can only hold so much glucose, which is what the sugar converts to when it gets in your system. Anyway, the cells can only hold so much glucose, so they get it out of there quickly, which is how you feel the sugar crash, and the excess is stored as fat on your body. So it's not the cookie per se that's putting weight on you, it's the sugar in the cookie. So simple carbohydrates, which are your white pastas, white rice, white breads, even wheat and whole wheat breads that do not have whole grains have white processed sugar in them. So you eat these things, you are satisfied for a moment, and then you experience that sugar crash. Now, when you eat simple sugars in fruit also contains fiber. So the fiber helps the digestion of that sugar so much slower in the body that it's released, periodically and not dumped all at once. And so you're left satisfied longer, and you don't have that experience of the sugar crash. So that's the advantage to eating fruit. I mean, one of the advantages to eating fruit over, a cookie or a candy bar or something else, aside from all the nutrients it has the fiber, but the energy you get from it actually lasts considerably longer than with these other sources. So I have to close something on my phone, sorry. So foods, let's see. Okay, so then we have the complex carbohydrates or complex sugars that are found in whole grains and found in vegetables. Carbs do have sugars, but if you're eating the right kind of carbs and the quality carbs, then you're getting the kind of sugar that your body needs to maintain its energy level. So, again, these sugars are bound to the fiber that's in the whole grain. So if you're eating brown rice, you're eating whole grain pasta, you're eating whole grain breads, the good stuff, then the sugar that's in them is attached to this fiber, and again, it's released at a much slower rate. There's no spike and crash, and you're getting the nutrients and the fiber along with it, so it's just much more easily digestible. So we do have to have carbs for energy. So this whole Atkins diet craze that went on, years ago, it was not meant to be a lifelong diet. I used to, before I studied about it at school, I used to give Atkins like it just had a super bad ring in my ears. Like I'd hear Atkins and I would just get so angry. I'm like, how could this guy write this diet and, do this to everybody? But then when I studied about it and I realized that he wrote it for diabetics, to get their glucose levels under control. It was not meant to be a long-term no carb thing. And that's what the American population turned it into, maybe other countries too, but we didn't read through the whole book. We saw people losing weight rapidly by cutting out carbs, and everybody jumped on the bandwagon. But what happened when you add those carbs back in is that everybody gained the weight back. So, Atkins took a really bad rap, and really his diet was not intended to be used the way that the American population used it. It was meant for diabetics to get their sugar under control and to help them lose weight safely. So where I was going with that is carbs have gotten a bad rap, and some people are still on that bandwagon of cutting them out completely, and that is wrong. We need carbs for brain activity, for our heartbeat, for our digestion, for breathing. Carbs are super important because of the energy that they contain. Again, you have to have the quality carbs. You can't be having carbs from cake and cookies and ice cream and candy bars because it doesn't provide your body the kind of energy that it needs, along with the nutrients. So our bodies work super, super hard to keep all systems in balance. If you eat too much salt, you're going to crave sugar. If you eat too much sugar, you're going to crave salt to try to get it in balance. If you eat too much protein, you're going to have other cravings to try to balance that out. If you're not drinking water, you get thirsty. I mean, the body is an amazing, amazing put together of all these systems, and everything's trying so hard to stay in balance, and we just sabotage it every single day by the choices that we're making or the choices that we're not making. When you start to feel hungry, your first reaction is to grab something, typically that is sugary, because you're also losing energy. So it's fine. Our body tells us what we need. We need sugar, but we need it in a better form. And that's what we have to try to train ourselves to do, is to clean out the cupboards, stop buying the crap, load your fridge up with fruit and vegetables. There's actually a lot of vegetables that have a naturally sweet flavor and have the nutrients that are this cat and the nutrients that make our body crave them because of their sugar content. Carrots, other root vegetables, beets, squash and sweet potatoes, onions. So if you can get in the habit of having these root vegetables and squash and these other vegetables that I just listed on a regular basis, your body is going to have less sugar cravings. Okay, so again, cooked carrots, squash, beets, onions, sweet potatoes, and then fruit. If you add these into your regular everyday diet, you're going to have fewer sugar cravings because your body is getting the sugar and the energy that it needs. So you might want to try having some sweet potatoes on hand, either roasting them or steaming and mashing them, having cooked carrots on hand, having fresh fruit, and the next time you get a true sugar craving, that you reach for one of those instead and see how that works for you. So when you get a true sugar craving, that doesn't mean that you're bored and you go to the cupboard and you find the first thing that you want, or you go to the gas station and you're like, oh, that looks good. That's not a craving. When you really feel like your body needs sugar and an energy increase at a certain point in the day, try having one of these vegetables or a fresh piece of fruit available and see how that works for you. And again, put this in your journal, that you made a choice to pass on the cupcake or the donut that was brought to work, and instead you had a banana, which is high sugar, and that's okay. Don't freak out about high sugar and fruit, because again, it's the good kind. Or you brought roasted sweet potato with you and you had that instead, and then write down, did it satisfy your craving? So I'm not going to tell you, well, I guess I am kind of, what not to eat. If you focus on what not to eat, you're going to feel deprived, right? I mean, the second you tell yourself you're on a diet and you can't have this and this and this, what do? You want it. So we're not going to go that route, okay? We're not doing a diet. This is a way of life. This is making changes to make you healthier. So we're going to crowd out foods by adding in other foods. So don't ever tell yourself you can't have this because you'll want it more. Just start adding in good things to get out the other things. And also increase your water consumption, because it helps to keep you full. It helps all your systems function better. It may help alleviate some of your cravings. You just need to be super conscious about getting your water in. So let me see if I missed anything. Oh, I have chocolate cravings. So women, it's a fact. It's proven during our time of the month, and our hormones are crazy. We do have cravings that are typically very out of control and very hard to reel in. That's real stuff. That's not like, but I wouldn't use that as an excuse always, like, oh, I'm on my period, so therefore I can eat whatever I want. I still would try to maintain some kind of sorry about that. I still would try to maintain some kind of, semblance to all the hard work that you've been doing. But here's what I have taught myself to do. I don't keep these on hand, but I do have the health food store that is about 3 blocks from me. So, like particularly when I'm on my period, or I know I'm going through a stressful moment coming up or whatever, I'll go to the health food store and I'll buy one of their little organic dark chocolate candy bars, and I will just snap off a square, and I'm totally good. So if you buy high quality sweets like organic chocolate, the dark chocolate, which actually has health benefits, which doesn't mean to eat a whole candy bar every day because it has health benefits, but but choose a sweet that's made with quality ingredients. Or if you're a baker, I am a baker. I love, love, love baking, and I love baking with alternatives to sugar. So if you want recipes, I've got recipes. And so sometimes I will make cookies that I say for the boys, or I'll make like energy balls or something, and I will put some chocolate chips in, but I use a dark organic chocolate chip. I don't have to use that many, but what I'm saying is you don't have to stay away from sweets. Just make them quality, and stop using sweets as a reward. We have to find other ways to treat ourselves. I've seen that saying so many times. Food is not a reward. You're not a dog. So I love that one. So we have to stop thinking of food as, well, if I do this, then I can have this. Find a different way to reward yourself. We'll get into that in a different one. But anyway, that's a little bit, about 14 minutes worth of sugar cravings, and I hope it helps, and I hope it helps you think through some of those cravings and start to deconstruct them, and start journaling when you're feeling them and what you're doing to fix. All right, enough for now. Happy healthy eating.